Okay, Coach, if you want to recap the last 3 games since we last saw you.
Yeah, really good stretch, really hard stretch. 2 games on the road, Eastern Washington and Idaho. Starting with the Eastern Washington game, I felt like we were about 3 or 4 possessions away from getting that done. It was a great game. We were up the majority of the game. I got really tight with maybe 10, 12 minutes to go, kind of bounced back and forth. And then just in one stretch with about 6 minutes left, we didn't fall apart, but we had a couple opportunities. They had a phenomenal block at the rim, and then that led into an and one 3-point play. So it was like a 5-point flip in like 5 seconds. And then we had a critical turnover, full court, that led them to get a wide open layup. And, from that point on, we're down 4 or 6, and we just couldn't get it done. But I do feel like us and them going into that game, the 2 teams playing the best, and I thought it was a great college basketball game. It's disappointing, but moving into the Idaho game, they made that game even more important. We knew that we were tied with them. We knew if we could beat them, we would have swept them and locked in the 6th seed, which is a lot of pressure. It was a great atmosphere. Idaho has a great arena. It was pretty much a sold-out crowd with our game, and then right after that, we had the women's game with their women's team playing for a championship. It was senior night for them, so there was a lot of emotions, a lot of things going on. And to be honest, we didn't play great in the first half. We gave up 40 points. Our defense was not great. The guys really stepped up to a challenge at halftime, and we were able to flip the game. And we scored a lot better in the second half, but it's because our defense was a lot better. We held them like 25% from the field in the second half, and it was a huge win. So that took some pressure off, knowing that we were locked into the top 6. Had a 2:45 a.m. wake-up call on Sunday morning to fly to Spokane at 5 a.m. So even though we were home on Monday night, we were really worried about the travel situation, and just, life in the Big Sky is what it is sometimes. And the options were 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. We wanted to get home. And but the toll on our guys' bodies, you look at, Quentin Denker played 39 minutes against Idaho. They've got to get him out of bed at 2:45 in the morning. It's tough. So as that moved into the Montana game last night, Monday night, could not be more proud of our guys. The first half went the way I thought it was going to go, which is just brutal, sloppy, ugly. It looked like 2 tired teams out there. Both teams were playing really hard, but just didn't have any legs. And for us to respond, in the second half, get our legs back, get that second win. It was an awesome second half, and it really, to win the way that we did, for all the guys to get a chance to play, guys that hadn't played in a long time, it's a great end of the regular season, and here we are.
Quinn broke the single season assist record last night, and the team also set a new program mark. What does that say about this group's identity and how they've brought into playing for each other?
I think the team thing is really cool. First of all, that's a like we always say, a team that shares the ball is a happy team, right? So I think for us, that ball has energy, and to be able to break that assist record, as much as we emphasize, assisted shots, man, that's big time. With Quinn, I actually shot him a text last night. It's really cool that you got it. But then when you think about just in the era that we've been here, the great guards that have had the ball in their hand, you think about Jordan Davis, who's a Hall of Famer, Big Sky MVP, ball in his hands. You think about Jonah Radabaugh, his last year, ball in his hands, an absolute legend. You think about Matt Johnson, who was, just a phenomenal all-league guard for us for 3 years. You think about Jaron Riley. These are all pros that are some of the best guards that we've ever seen in the Big Sky in our world. And for Quinn to have more assists than all of them, it's a phenomenal accomplishment. And so I just texted him and told him how proud I was, and then just the way Quinn is, he just deflects it to everybody else, and that's what he is. But for us to have the team assist record, and then for Quinn to get that record too, it's pretty special.
So kind of looking forward to Starch Madness now. What does postseason basketball demand that the regular season doesn't?
Well, I think the first thing is you just try to treat it the same way as always. If you put more pressure or emphasis, because it's the postseason, what happens is you can get really stressed out. It's just the next game. Now, with that being said, it's a one-game season. If you don't play well, your season can end. I believe there's minimum 7 teams in our league that can win the championship. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really believe that. So whoever you play, and obviously we have to play Montana again, I believe that every team that we have to play could win a championship. They're that good. And we're in that same stratosphere as well. But I think you just got to try to not overpressure yourselves, but you got to be dialed into all the little details, not just schematically, but resting, nutrition, health, sleep, hydration, and then being in a place where you go out there and you try to not do too much. What we've done to get to this point, to win 20 games, to have this great season, it's good enough. And we're going to have to play well, but we don't need to really change anything. We just have to be the best version of ourselves. And the thing, too, is that if you can make a run and win 2 or 3 games, get to that championship, you have to win at least one game that's really ugly. So going back to this Montana game last night, that first half was super ugly, and you're like, guys, we got to win a game. Like, it's not going to always be clean. So having that situation has been good for us. The other thing, too, is that we've had 16 one-possession games. And while brutal for us and the fans and this and that, you win some, you lose some, I do think getting those scars and those wounds and experiencing all those different situations, it does nothing but help you out when you get to the tournament, because we've seen so many different crazy things happen. I think that's going to help us down the stretch.
And what would it mean for this program to cut down the nets and punch a ticket to the NCAA tournament?
That would mean everything. And again, you try not to drift to that too much, because if you don't win the first one, you can't win the second or third one. But at the same point, you always want to get it done. I'd love to get back to the championship. You call it the Rule of 3. That would be our 3rd time that we've been in the championship in 5 years. And the Rule of 3 is this. 3 strikes and you're out, or 3rd time's a charm. And the idea of, can you get the 3rd time's a charm? So for our school, just like last year, same thing. We were 40 minutes away, had a great team, played a great team, Montana in the championship. And you want it for your team, you want it for your players, but you want it for your school. You want it for your community too. So if we can get hot and keep this thing rolling, we've won 9 of our last 10 games and win a championship, it would mean so much. But it would mean so much too, this team is special. And that doesn't mean we're going to win it, but this group of kids and the story that they've kind of written out this year with the 3 seasons, greatest start in school history, disaster in the middle of the season, dead last almost halfway through at 1-7. We've won 9 of our last 10. For them to stay the course and find a way to get to where we're at, if we could find some way to get this thing done, it would be so special to just show their resiliency throughout the whole year, and it would be an unbelievable achievement.
Awesome. I've still been a couple more. But, okay. How do you want this team remembered after this week?
Well, I think just even going into it, just that how they've responded to being 1-7 starting the league. And, the negativity, there was some negativity on the outside and the social media and this and that, but the people that matter in the room, in the bubble, they all stayed the course, and no one fractured, no one splintered. So I just think that, people looking back saying, this team, really, you can learn some life lessons if you study this team and how they responded to a challenge.
Awesome. And last one, for me at least, what belief does this group have about itself and that maybe outsiders don't see?
Oh, they've got ultimate belief. And they had belief the first game of the year, they had belief the 12th game of the year, the 16th game of the year. When we were struggling, which again, we were losing games at the buzzer, 1-possession games, it didn't waver their belief. If there's one thing that this group has, it is highest level belief.
Awesome.
I just have one more question
Yeah.
for you. Focusing on that first game of the Big Sky tournament now, obviously you just played Montana last night, and then you're going in to play them right away again.
Yeah.
How do you balance the confidence from last night's game with going against what could be a completely different Montana team?
It's a really weird game, and as I got back to the house and the games were structured or, different times last night, kind of watched, okay, well, Montana State won. Okay, so they at least got the 2 seed, but maybe the 1 seed. And then EWASH got beat. Okay, now they're the 3 seed. So it's all right, well, Portland State, they're up on Weber State. So then you start trying to figure out the tiebreakers and this and that. And I thought my math was right that we were going to tie us, Montana, Weber. And then the way that it all worked, we all split with each other 2-2. So then it goes up to how'd you do against Portland State. So we end up tied for 4th, get the 5 seed, play Montana. It's weird. And at the end of the day, it's you have to balance the confidence that, we played great, and I thought the game plan was great. I thought our guys executed it. But then, 2, confidence can't turn into cockiness. This is a great team, a team that also beat us bad at their place. And so you take the home, court away from both teams. Matter of fact, they'll have more home court than we will because they'll have fans there that kind of drive over from Montana. But, I think the biggest challenge is, as we sort of realize we got to play them again, is that we kind of put our cards on the table and how we want to guard them. But then they did a good job. They put their cards on the table. A guy like Brock Wisney went 1 for 7, and they did a good job doubling him. So it's What do you change? What are they going to change? What do you keep the same? And it's definitely the old chestnut checkers deal. So you got to figure that out a little bit. And then two, it just makes it harder to prepare because you can't over-prepare too. Like tomorrow we'll get back to practice and it's all about us, but like we'll do no scout stuff. But at the same point, we will break down the film from our last game, which was Montana. So clearly when we're breaking that film down, I'm going to at least be talking about, well, when we play them again, we got to do this. So it does turn a little bit scouty. And it's just weird, right? Because it's not like it's 7 days later. So I think you just got to embrace it. And I think, you paint some pictures of how that can go wrong, but then how it can go right. We played Weber State last year to win the championship at their place. Close game, beat them by 5, but we still beat them. That was our first game in the tournament. And we played even better in the tournament. So, you just got to be careful that confidence is a good thing, but it can't spew over to cockiness. You got to be humble about it. And then know you're going to get they're going to be really good. They were tired too. So you're going to get a fresh team. We're going to be fresh. It's going to be a great game.
Coach, we have a question here from Ann Delaney, the Greeley Tribune. How do you feel about the siege for the Big Sky Conference?
I like it. Again, just in the grand scheme of when we won at Idaho, we knew we were top 6, and that's all we wanted to be. It doesn't matter. You 1, you 6, you 3, you 4, it doesn't matter. To me, at least, because I think we're all about the same. But you got to get top 6. Because if you're 7, 8, 9, 10, you get that extra game. I think that just the wear and tear is really hard. Not impossible, but it makes it harder on yourself. So, felt great about that. When you look at it, to be dead last, even when we were 1-7, but even when we beat Idaho to get to 2-7, we were still dead last. That's the midway point. So to be dead last halfway through the season and to tie for 4th, and the crazy thing is we were that close to getting to 3rd, but now you're 4-5, and we're only focused on Montana. So try to get through that, but then after that, you'll see what happens. It's Portland State or somebody else. Who knows who wins that game? But I like our path. I think just knowing that we're on equal footing as the other teams, that's all we wanted to get to, and we got to that, and we feel good about it.